Why I am not a creationist.
I have often wanted to paraphrase Bertrand Russell. I was raised a creationist. I was taught to read early enough, and I was given access to a wonderful set of books. Actually, 2 volumes of the Golden Book Encyclopedia. The 2 volumes that I had were volumes A and E. Now, I don't remember which volume it was in, whether it was A or E, because it could be either, but it had Uriops, which is this large frog-looking salamander, amphibian-like tetrapod from ancient times. And it could have been under E for Uriops or A for amphibian, but under A it had Archaeopteryx, which is the first bird, dinosaur-looking bird creature. And under E was evolution. And in the inside cover of these books there were pictures of fish and also an evolutionary phylogenetic tree, which is a fascinating thing. Now, it became clear to me that there were relationships between different animals and plants. They were more or less related, but I didn't know what that meant exactly, and I had to try to fight against that in my mind, because our branch of Christianity did not allow for the belief in evolutionary processes, anything that was not in the Bible. Now, I studied this, and I developed my own idea. I thought I was going to be famous for this. I thought I was going to be the next great scientist who disproved evolution long before Michael Behe came up with his whole book, Darwin's Black Box, with irreducible complexity. I had an idea that I thought was going to bring evolution down. This was the protostome-deuterostome split. Now, you don't hear about this in the creationist circles. I've never heard anyone else mention it. But protostomes, which make up pretty much all animals on the planet, include insects and mollusks and just about anything that's a bug. And they develop a mouth first in their embryo stage, then an anus, and they have a particular form of embryonic development. Now, deuterostomes only include things like people and starfish, your vertebrates or chordates, and echinoderms, and maybe a few other little groups. They develop an anus before a mouth in the embryonic development, and they also have a different type of development in the embryo. And it made me think that you couldn't get from protostome to deuterostome. It didn't make a whole lot of sense. I thought that there had to be a special creation for deuterostomes, or that maybe deuterostomes were aliens of some sort, which would give us a unique origin. But I visited MSU, Michigan State University, and a researcher there was telling me about studies that had been done on fruit flies, Drosophila, which showed that the same gene that initiates eye formation in humans can initiate eye formation in fruit flies. Now, this doesn't mean that the common ancestor between fruit flies and humans had eyes. But what it does mean is that they shared that gene. There was a common ancestor. They had this gene. The genes that regulate body formation are called PAX genes and HOX genes in the different groups, and they correlate well. The differences in evolution in the embryo, they're superficial. Embryos are so small and so malleable when it comes down to it that it doesn't take much when it comes to genetic difference to change how they develop. So that was a life-changing realization that there was no scientific roadblock separating the protostomes and deuterostomes. And I don't think most creationists even ever thought about that as a roadblock. But that is why I'm not a creationist.